Hello and welcome to Engage, the program that focuses on community-engaged research, teaching, and service at Mississippi State University. I am your host, Meggan Franks, and today we are joined by Christina Loftin, animal vet technician in the College of Veterinary Medicine at Mississippi State University. Hello, Christina.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great. Well, I'm really excited to learn about the Animals in Focus program, but before we jump into that, I'd like to learn a little more about you and how you came to Mississippi State and your position you have now with the vet school.
Definitely. So I graduated in 2008 from Colorado Mountain College with an associate's degree with an added proficiency in shelter medicine, and then also received my veterinary technician's license the same year. Spent a few years teching in private practice and then in shelter medicine at Colorado Animal Rescue and then Pittsburgh Animal Friends, and so decided that I wanted to finish my undergraduate degree, and then I moved to Mississippi to do that. And then ever since, I've been here since 2015 full-time with the shelter medicine program here at the College of Veterinary Medicine.
And so the program, Animals in Focus, and so I've read some about it. So describe what is Animals in Focus? What's the mission of the program?
So the program was actually created in 2014 by Dr. Jacob Shively and Dr. Kimberly Woodruff. And it was created to emphasize the importance of the human-animal bond, but also human and animal health sciences to really engage the community, especially elementary-age children, in health communication, so understanding their bodies and then animals around them. And so our goals are to strengthen the human-animal bond, but also encourage the general public about veterinary medicine, just to increase diversity there.
Okay. And how did you first become involved in Animals in Focus?
So in 2015, when I came on full-time with the program, I went to one of our, I think it was Emerson, to the elementary school there, and we did a small program, and I really took interest in it, and so Dr. Woodruff and I kind of teamed up together, and I have 8-year-old twins, and so it seemed kind of natural. I love children, and then with my animal science background, it just, marrying those two concepts together, it really seemed like a perfect fit. And I've been doing it ever since.
And so your current partnerships that you have now, who are those with?
So we have 3 community partners. We have been partnered with Palmer Home since 2015, and then this past year we created 2 more full-time partners. And so we're working with Weems Mental Health Facility in Meridian, and then also Clarksdale Animal Rescue, which is an animal shelter in the Delta. And so what we do is we travel about 2.5 hours with our veterinary students and animals, and we use their humane education room to kind of deliver these targeted lesson plans to elementary age children. And so typically our lesson plans are centered around how animals react to different circumstances. We teach children how to approach dogs, when it's appropriate to, when it's not. And then we also focus on nutrition, so what's appropriate for animals to eat, what's appropriate for people. And then we do comparative anatomy lessons, and so we have some interactive lessons that include comparative anatomy. So we'll have a bone box, and so the kids will pull bones out of the boxes, and one of my favorite ones is the cow femur, and so they usually think it's a dinosaur bone because it's so big. And then we have some really cool radiographs of like 2-headed turtles, and so it just gets them really excited and engaged in the veterinary sciences, but also kind of thinking about their bodies a little bit. So we try and make those connections. And then lastly, we talk about exercising and the importance of that, and so why people should exercise and why animals need to. And so we create this really fun and interactive agility lesson, and so we have kind of our team mascot, which is Wrigley. She's an Australian Shepherd, and so we create this agility lesson with the children, and so they're used as hurdles, and then we use like hula hoops and tunnels, and so she weaves in and out of them and then jumps over them, and so they get really excited about exercising. Yeah.
And so for Octauquan County, or even within Mississippi, why would a program like this be important?
We're so fortunate in this area. We have so many really interesting programs. We have the college here, we have the veterinary school, so we have access to great students. We have tons of after school programs here, and then all the elementary schools. And so we have such a diverse population, and they've been so welcoming to us. And so that's been a great component of being in this area for that. But also Mississippi, we have some significant strengths and weaknesses with our demographics. So a program like this really helps target some of our weaknesses. We're a very poverty-stricken state, and so just making some of those connections with early childhood education has been pretty important with our program. And so, yeah, I think that's probably some of the best information for that.
And so I was reading some of the feedback from your agency contact with Blake Bassett with the Palmer Home, and so he was talking about the benefits of having this program with their children at the Palmer Home, and so and speaking volumes about how important this program has been for the development of the children at the Palmer Home, especially when it comes to confidence and self-esteem. And so it was nice, to read that, and then because at one point when I was working at the Boys and Girls Club, y'all had come to our and did that presentation with the children there, and so. But yeah, just a very rewarding experience, and I enjoyed that. Now you participated in a faculty fellowship program recently, and this was one of the components of that. You want to talk about your experience as a fellow?
I'd love to. Okay. It was definitely an honor to be part of that group, especially as a staff member. And so I had never really sat down and created a syllabus. And so being able to work with other faculty fellow members was pretty pivotal for me because I had no idea what I was doing. And so they really encouraged me through the process, and getting their feedback really helped. But this really helped take Animals in Focus to a whole new level. Beginning of the program, a lot of our visits were pretty inconsistent, and generally a lot of the work was placed on me, so I had to create these lesson plans. But now, since the Community Engagement Fellowship, I have been able to integrate our veterinary students into that process, and so they've been able to they do about 45 to 60-minute lesson plan for these children, and they're coming up with ideas I would have never thought of. So even like first aid, teaching them how to take care if they have a wound and then an animal, or even we did fire safety. So they were teaching puppies how to stop, drop, and roll, and then they were also able to do that. And so it's been neat, things I would have never thought of that our veterinary students are coming up with. So that's been pretty amazing to watch, but also learning about the scholarship of community engagement, how important it is. And you don't necessarily always get that in a traditional classroom setting, and so being able to experience and address community needs in a course like this has been amazing.
And so right now your community partner that you've had since 2015, right? So how is that relationship? How have you had to kind of massage that relationship over the years?
So Palmer Home, they're absolutely amazing. They have made this partnership so easy. They're so open and willing to work with us no matter what. There have been days where, we've had to, either come in later or before, change the schedule, because that's just how it is sometimes. And they're always willing and welcoming no matter what to have us. And then the children, it's been so fun to watch them grow up over the last 4 years, and it seems like we got to know them as babies, and now they're getting into middle school, and we know them by name, and so that's been great. So it has a mentoring aspect also. But what we've learned through this program, and even through research, is that animals have such an impact on children. There's tons of research that supports the positive physiological and psychological benefits of animals in academic settings. And so it's been great to watch the children just light up when an animal comes in the room, especially if they're having a hard time processing some emotions. So it's been great to watch them through that.
And so your course went through designation too, so for community engaged learning designation. And so reading about the program and the course, what are kind of some of the difficulties of managing this program and all the different aspects?
So I get a new set of students every week. So I don't have them for a normal, 12 to 15 weeks for a course, and so that's been difficult. Every student has a different background also. Some know a lot about large animal science, some only know exotics or small animals, and so trying to meet and recognize each of their needs and apply it to a lesson has been difficult. But then there's also the great side of it is they bring things I would have never thought of to the table. But also a lot of the children that we work with do have significant needs also. So we work with autistic children, we have children with ADHD or oppositional defiant disorder. So recognizing those needs and addressing them. And so there has to be a ton of communication on our part, our veterinary students' part, and also with our community partners. And so managing some of those challenges has definitely, we found that out. Yeah.
And I bet every year the program evolves. So like the feedback you get from students and agencies.
Yes.
Allowing you to kind of make those changes.
For sure. And I think that's been the best part of integrating community engagement into it, because we have this aspect of reflection. And so our students are given prompts and some of the questions are, what are the strengths and weaknesses of this program? And so it really gives me a chance to kind of reflect and see what we need to do to take the program to the next level. What do we need to change a little bit? But also they also get to recognize the things that they learn personally about themselves, about their comfort levels and their skills, but also our community partner, what needs did they address during that lesson plan?
And so for a student that's trying to get involved in a community engaged learning class, what advice would you give a student?
Always recognize, I would talk to your advisor first and recognize how much work actually goes into a program like this, because I too am a student and I took a community engaged learning course, and it was absolutely amazing, but not what I expected. It took a lot of time I had to invest into it, and so understanding your schedule and then the time management that goes into that class, but there's so many benefits to it also. It goes way past than just time management. I learned so much about myself and so much about the class I was in. I took a mentoring course, and so, but yeah, there are definitely some things to look into when choosing a course like that. So.
And for a faculty member that's trying to get involved in community engagement, what advice would you give them?
Community engagement doesn't take just one form. You could put it into any program, any type of study, and so just be willing to look at that and talk to your students about what their interests are. I think would be a great avenue to think about community engagement.
And then selecting the right partner and agency.
Definitely.
Yes, taking that kind of constant work.
For sure.
And so, great. And so any future plans for you?
Well, this upcoming, this fall semester, I just got accepted into graduate school, so with the sociology department, so that's where I'm headed next.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you for coming out or Engage, and thank you all for joining us on this session of Engage. And so until next time, I hope that you go forth and get involved in your local community. Thank you.